heal themselves and prevent the reversal of illness. I want to let you know, and this is not to brag, I'm 62.
I've been plant-based since I was 15.
And it started out as just being hard-headed, really. My mother wanted to eat meat, and I decided not to. We have a lot of illnesses in our family, just like a lot of people. We've got the diabetes, we've got cancer, we've got addictions and bone and joint illnesses and anger and depression, right? And all those I found could be affected by diet. So like I said, this is going to be a quick tour. There's a lot of people here. You got some world-class speakers here today. So I want you to strap your seatbelts on. We're going to go for a ride. If I know how to. All right, so that's done. All right, so actually, a lot of this information you know. You've heard it, you were raised with it, you grew up on it, but maybe you just forgot. So we're going to dust off some old information that you already know. The real thing we want to do today, and I think every presenter here since Dr. Montgomery last night and through the rest of the day, I want to ask this question, and this is what I want us to answer. How did African Americans go from being the strongest race, worthy of being dragged from their own country, to this one through brutal conditions, terrible food, psychological abuse, physical abuse, violence, and just plain degradation, to build a country through blood, sweat, and tears, to be one of the 10 richest countries in the world, yet now, several hundred years later, we are the sickliest race in this country. How did that happen? We are more likely to die of aggressive diseases, forms of diseases, with and without treatment. How did that happen? So we're just going to go on a little tour. And now, this is a little bit more mature audience. How many people here remember Roots? Yes. Yes. So we're going to go on our Roots journey. We're going to go back a little bit. So this was our diet in West Africa before contact, okay? These are actually two pictures from a Black culinary historian named Michael Twiggy. He has a great, several YouTube videos. But this is what we used to eat before we got dragged over here, right? So you can see there are roots like taro and yams. There are fruits like citrus, there's mangoes, there's bananas. There are beans, black peas, cowpeas are a big favorite. There's okra, grains like millet and teff and rice. I want you to notice there is very little animal product on that table. Very, very little. The only animal product is here, you'll see in the upper corner, those are fish primarily, right? Because West Africa was on the coast, that was the easiest group of people to get to. So fish was actually available, but not in large amounts, because remember, they didn't have refrigeration, right? So they weren't out casting wide nets and bringing in thousands of pounds of fish, right? That would have, the fish would have just rotted on the shore and died. So they brought in fish, but ate it as a condiment, more like a seasoning or a flavoring. The rest of these are also seasonings, so you have some Scotch bonnet peppers there, you got some ginger, you got some other pepper sauces, you have some greens, kale, things like that. Okra. This was before the European slave traders, and I want you to remember something. I'm going to say this several times. When one country or one group wants to control another group, one of the first things they do is control the food. If you can control the food, you can control the people. And if you can devastate the food ways, you can go a whole lot farther in controlling the people. Then we had this. So our people went from eating these beautiful sun-ripened fruits and vegetables, right? Glorious food, to eating poorly. High levels of stress, degradation, deterioration, right? All day long, every day. And this is where the history of our illnesses started, right? If you go back and you look at research that is looking at high blood pressure, cancers, and that sort of thing in West Africa, it's not prevalent there like it is here on the way. Right? So it's not a genetic thing, exactly. Back during slavery, I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. Life was designed to keep the enslaved people broken, sick, tired, and like mentally distraught. And it was also designed to make the slaveholders money. So we went mostly from a plant-rich, highly nutrient-dense diet of healthy foods to brutal conditions in a foreign land. Now, I think anybody else of our presenters, I'm sure, will say several of these things over again, so we do these things more than once. But the food that we get informs our DNA, and it can cause our DNA, certain components in DNA to turn on and off. And when you're taking in really poor quality food, as well as high stress and no sleep and brutal conditions, it can turn your DNA almost against you. Right? So we went from this beautiful food to slave food. Slave food. This is a modern day depiction of what would have been called Juba. Juba is also called slop. And it was given to the enslaved people by the slaveholders. It actually consists of the remains of what the house slaves did. So just imagine this is thrown in a bucket, and then at the end of the day, it's cooked, or at the end of the week, I don't know how often that happens, is cooked in a large pot, so much so that the ingredients are indistinguishable at some point, right? You can only imagine what that must have done to the psyche, right? To know that the people who abuse you every day are now feeding you something and you don't even know what it is. Very crazy. So Juba is actually this stuff. It also turned into, because it was so crazy making for the enslaved people, it came up with a song, right? To kind of like square that cognitive dissonance you get when you know that you have to eat something, but you probably shouldn't eat it and you don't really want to, but it's all only food you have. So the song, and I don't sing well, but I do like to put this one to life, right? So it goes, Juba this and Juba that, and Juba killed a yellow cat. You give me the meal, no, you sift the meal, you give me the husk, you bake the bread, you give me the crust, you eat the meat, you give me the skin, and that's the way my mama's troubles begin. And that is the truth. That is in fact the way our troubles begin, eating poor food. Okay. This was also another version of slave food. A lot of times all they got was corn and bacon, and not very much of that. Because you weren't supposed to be robust and strong as a slave, you were supposed to be able to do the work and stay subdued. There were also other components to slave food. There could be salt rice, lard, salt pork, salt fish, molasses, unsifted cornmeal, which is where we get the gritty texture for cornbread. They were also allowed to catch small game, but you gotta remember they didn't have any weapons. They just trapped or, hunted like that. So there would be fish, raccoon, turtle, possum, squirrel, the other 5 food groups. I think those are. This diet now is also the beginnings of the Southern diet, Southern cuisine, right? And it moved north as African Americans moved north. It is also known to create high blood pressure, heart disease, cancers, right? It also will feed into depression and anxiety. Then slavery ended. Ta-da! What we did change the way we ate, because we got to the point where we were used to eating Juba, right? It made sense to us to eat Juba. In fact, when I was doing research for this little talk, I realized that, or that was actually an indication that what we started eating and what we now call soul food was actually our celebration foods. The food was, okay, so soul food is what's associated with good times, right? So all of the yams and the catfish and the fried chicken and the pig feet and the hog moths and the chitlins and all that, those were good times. And as the people moved north and slavery ended, we kept that because those reminded us of good times. It didn't make it good food. And also, what we have to remember is that our history didn't start with slavery. It started actually in Africa, right? So when we think about our heritage, when we think about the food we eat and what's healthy, slavery probably isn't the best place to look. We need to look back further. Okay. Then we move north. This is rapid Ruth's journey. These are some little kids in 1964 in Chicago. You can see the foods that are advertised. It's clearly a black neighborhood because they didn't mix back then, right? So you have turkey wings and necks. You've got turnip greens, which are great. You've got bacon, you've got franks, and of course, stamps. Right? Now we know that franks, or hot dogs, were declared just in 2015 carcinogenic, right? How many people knew that? Not many. Okay, I'm gonna tell you. So you never have to say again, nobody told you. All processed meats, as hot dogs, brats, sausages, jerkies, anything in the deli, doesn't matter if it's chicken or turkey or fish, doesn't matter. Beef, veal, rabbit, you choose it. If it's processed, it's considered carcinogenic. You have a choice. You don't have to eat that. Okay? I also want you to know that eating this way, this old survival type eating of these foods that are not really foods. This is not really food for the human body. This is stuff to fill your belly under tough times. But they're associated now with a 56% higher risk of heart disease, a 46% higher risk of sudden cardiac death, a 50% increase in the risk of death in people with kidney disease, a 30% higher risk of stroke. Right? So in other words, this eating pattern is literally a killer. Literally. Every time you put it in your mouth. And Dr. Montgomery said, what'd you say? Not a drop, not a crumb. Right? Not a mouthful. That's it. Seriously. Like no shitting. No shitting. Okay, so we're going to fast forward to today. Today, big food companies like this market to black and brown people intentionally to get our money. And I'm going to put it this way, this is my personal theory. To get us addicted to these foods, and then there's this wonderful cascade of events that wind us up with high blood pressure, heart disease, cancers, diabetes, right? This is criminal. In black communities and on black media, these companies like McDonald's, Wendy's, Yum Brands, which is Kentucky Fried Chicken, Taco Bell, they market heavily to black and brown people. And if you watch the way the ads go, it almost looks like the only thing we eat is this stuff and maybe candy and soda. Oh, and beer. Probably drink beer. This, in my opinion, is the new form of slavery. Because we are addicted to these foods. These foods are created intentionally in a lab. Oh my goodness. Okay, I better move faster. But these foods are created intentionally in the lab. They synthesize salt, sugar, fat, and some other lovely addictive ingredients so that they're addictive. And we keep eating them, we crave them, we want them better. So our bodies are still being sold, our health is being sold, And what happens after this is you wind up with these illnesses, you go to your doctor, you wind up getting put on a medication, most likely for the rest of your life. And in 3 months, or 6 months, or 9 months, you'll get another medication, most likely for the rest of your life, and it goes like that. Heart disease is the leading cause of death for people, period. And men and women and people of color, it's even worse. We kill off 655,000 people per year with heart disease. That's more than ever got killed in 1 year of COVID. But they're not rushing to make a difference with this. This is a moneymaker. And food is the biggest part of your healthcare. There's a lot of aspects to healthcare, to keeping you healthy, right? So sleep is important. I would almost say that's probably one of the most important because you can't go more than like a week without sleep. You can go 40 days without food, but you can't go more than a week without sleep. But all of these things are important. Food is really, really important because it informs your genetic material. What we ought to be eating is this, from a wide rainbow of colors. All parts of the plant. The roots, the shoots, the stems, the seeds, the leaves, all of it. The skin, the flesh, all of it. Okay? Rainbow. That's really what's going to keep us healthy. This is not juba. This is food. This is what informs your DNA to do the right thing. So here's the solution, right? Go back to your roots. Get more fruits and veggies every day, even on holidays, even on your birthday. Even when you think you need a treat and it should be cake, it should be strawberries. Right? Eat something healthy. Do yourself a favor. Drink water. Drink water. Stay away from like Sunny Delight and Mountain Dew and Kool-Aid. What? Get rid of that stuff. Water is beautiful. Herbal tea is also wonderful. Herbal tea is actually medicinal, and we could have a whole nother, 4-day conversation about that. Get rid of the fake food. That's all I can say. Get rid of the sweet stuff as much as possible. Treats are nice, but really, dates are amazing, right? Something sweet, a dried fruit is amazing. And get rid of the dairy products because something like 70, 85% of African American people, brown people in general, are allergic to dairy and can't process it. And lactase and lactate is not an answer. I have to say one special thing about children because my heart is with my children. There was a study done by the CDC, maybe back in February, and they found that in the last of the kids they studied, and it was all over the country they looked, children had not had a fruit or a vegetable within the 7 days. This is a crime. Fruit and vegetables are actually where you get your vitamins and your nutrients and fiber. It's where you get the neurotransmitters so their little brains can think. And so they can sit in class and pay attention and attend and learn. They need fruits and vegetables. The same food that's good for big people is good for little people, except little people need it, in my opinion, more and really serve. So this is not food, okay? This is a typical breakfast in a school. Special words of damnation for the dairy industry. I just can't. It is not healthy for us, unless you're a baby cow, which you're not. So I'm going to skip that part because I have Meryl coming up and creeping up on me. So these are the keys to health. These are the keys that will release you from the last shackles, and the last shackles of slavery are on your plate. You don't really have to eat chitlins anymore. And let me tell you, I grew up eating that. My mother would be sitting here shaking her finger at me. I ate chitlins and hog moths and pig feet. I did. And my mother was a great cook with that, but I don't do it anymore. These are the keys. This is what keeps the person healthy. Eat more of this if you don't want coronary artery disease. You want lower blood pressure, eat some leafy greens. Scientifically proven to decrease your blood pressure. You want to decrease your risk of cancer, go for some cruciferous vegetables, please. In all colors. Make it roots, make it shoots, make it fruits. Protein, bam, right here. You don't need cow. You don't need pig. Beans are great. And by all means, as I say, wide variety and broad colors. So this is it. Am I good on time? Okay. It's time, love those people, right? Where would we be without our great, 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 great grands? You don't have to do it anymore. We paid homage to that life. It's time to break free. Let those shackles go. Eat some fruits and vegetables. Okay? Come up and talk to any of us anytime. This is our website. You can find that. Take pictures of this. Take pictures of this.